Right, this is it. This is the review, the planet review for Tython for the Jedi Knight story. So, what I'm going to go through, there's some footage playing that way. Footage playing of some story stuff that I missed, some side quests that I missed. Not story stuff, we did all the story, but there's the planet story for Tython, which I missed because I took a speeder one time instead of running. So that's going on in the background, and I'm going to talk about 1, the story quests, 2, the side quests, and 3, the environment. Those are the three parts I'm going to be basing my review on. So first, the story quests. So when you arrive, you towards the end of your training as a Jedi, you're basically, and you're thrown straight into it. You're thrown straight into the battle against the Flesh Raiders. By the time you've arrived on Tython, you're already, pretty good with a lightsaber, pretty strong in the Force. So we don't go through that whole training part, but it's still a good starting point, I think, and it's a good enough starting point for by the time you get to the end of the story, you become a Jedi Knight, you get promoted, which is exactly what happens. So I think that is a good point to start. And then straight away, or almost straight away, you are confronted by what you assume is a dark Jedi, which, it paints a good picture of, actually, not everything on the Jedi homeworld is good. And I think that's really good. That's a really strong place to start. It's not throwing you against the Sith Empire straight away. It's putting you against a problem which is a lot closer to home, and I like that. That's a thing that I like about the story. And then you go on, you go through, you go meet all the Jedi Masters. You go and hang around in the temple for a little while, and then you come to another settlement. Something also, it's a homeworld problem. The Twi'leks, they're not supposed to be there. Should you help them or not? And then that's the part where you can start. Are you going to be light side? Are you going to be dark side? That kind of thing. And then you keep going. You go through everything. You brush against the Flesh Raiders. You meet the main villain for the story. It's Bengal Moore. You see him on the holocall, and then by the end of the story, you've come face to face with Bengal Moore. You've beaten him in combat. This is your first major choice of, are you going to be light side, like what we did, where you capture him, or are you going to let him go, or are you going to kill him? And those are your dark side options. Are you going to let him go so he can, he says, prepare the galaxy for your ascendance? I have honestly no idea what happens if you choose that. I've never actually done it. But this is your first major choice. Are you going to stay light side? Are you going to go dark side as a Jedi? And that's, I think, at the end of the first planet story is a good place to put that. It's not throwing you in at the start of choosing dark or light. It's given you enough information about each side that you can, at the end, make an informed choice, and that's good. One of the best parts, I think, of the entire story, I said it when we played it, it was after you'd had your bit of romance with Rana, and after the Twi'lek guards knock you out, and that whole conversation, I said I liked that bit at the start. And the reason I like that, and what I think it is a good example of, is the bit before that. Master August said, attachments, they always lead to bad things. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. And I think that's a good example of that. You had this attachment with Rana, and then in the end, something bad happened because of it. It's not always like that, obviously, but it's a good example of Jedi philosophy in action. And then there's a lot of examples of that throughout the whole story. But yeah, I think as far as starting story for a Jedi Knight, it is excellent. It is a very, very strong starting point. As far as side quests go, you've got your standard, standard MMO side quest. Go kill some of this. Go collect 5 of this. Go and destroy X amount of that. It's got all the standard, but a couple of them, like the one that's playing in the background right now, and the one where we took part in the Twi'lek ceremony, that one, and a couple of others, like the heroic one as well, the heroic mission for Tython. It actually gives you a bit of, bonus story. The one that we're doing now in the background while I'm speaking, it ends up telling you all about the Force Wars, which is, before the Jedi, before the Sith, before the Republic. It gives you, some nice background about the story before this game. And then the same with the heroic mission, where it gives you the bit of insight to the 2 Tythonian lords, the philosopher and the pimp. And the Twi'lek ceremony one gives you just not much, but a tiny little bit of background into what those Twi'leks are doing, and especially in that ceremony, when you meet Kalovish at the top of the tower, she basically foreshadows what's going to happen. She says, what's the phrase? She says, I see you facing the darkness of this world and others as well. And that's basically what happens throughout the entire Jedi Knight story, is you go to each different planet and you fight the darkness. And, she's basically foreshadowed what's going to be happening. And if because it's a side quest, you don't have to do it. If you don't play it, you end up missing it. It's just a little detail which I think is a very good addition. And then, like I said, you've got the collect 5 of this, go do that. And also another side quest which I thought was good is the one where you recruit the Jedi Flesh Raider, and the one where you take care of the Flesh Raider baby as well. Those are good because that's another choice of, is it going to be, yes, the Jedi will take in these people who we thought were savages, or no, actually, this is a bad idea, we're just going to put them down. It's a time where the player choice kind of dictates what the Jedi philosophy is kind of about. That might not make a lot of sense, but in my head it does. Like, without knowing about what the Jedi would actually do, you as the player get to make that choice. And I think that's good. Like, BioWare games in general is about choice a lot of the time. You do get a lot of choice in Star Wars The Old Republic, and in the end, if we get that far, they do end up mattering a little bit more. Not in a major way, I will say, but there are some changes which would be different depending on what choice you made. And we've already made a choice by the end of Tython, which does have not a major impact, but it does have an impact in the end game when we're at level 50 at the end of the vanilla story. So that's good. That's side quests. And third thing, the environment. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Tython is by far my favourite starting planet. It is diverse, it has got lovely scenery, it is just brilliant. I said in the first episode, Korriban, it's all orange, it's all desert, it is horrendous to look at. Hutta is just green, and not like a nice green, like a sick coloured green. It's not good. It's, it makes you nauseous. Ord Mantell is, pretty good. There's a lot of beaches and stuff, a lot of water. 7.8 out of 10. Too much water. And then Tython is, you got the waterfall that we go through in the Winter Forge. You've got the grasslands in the Gnolls. You've got the canyons where the Flesh Raiders live. You've got the ruins. Compare that to the Jedi Temple. You've got so much different types of scenery and so many different assets in the game environment, which, it makes it makes it nice when you move from one area to another and you're able to, you know, look at it and not get bored by it. Because that happens a lot of the time. Especially on other planets as well. And when I do those planet reviews for the later planets, I'll mention it then. But as far as a diverse environment goes, Tython, I think, is one of the best planets in the game. It is, well, it's no reason apart from it being, you know, the Jedi Academy. It's probably, I think, a reason why so many people like to do role playing there. Because remember, we saw our friends out on the temple steps doing their role play, and when I was just walking around doing some stuff on my main character, I came out to do the heroic mission out in the wilderness of Tython. There were more role players there, and I must assume because it's just a nice environment to be there. So yeah, Tython, best starting planet, if not the best planet in the game for environment. And that is about all I wanted to cover. So it's a solid start for a classic Jedi, classic light versus dark story, which we're going to be delving into a lot more. So now I need to get out of here and start heading out into the fleet, and we'll do some stuff. Cool. So I might I don't know yet. We'll see. So until then, see ya.